I am Charlie Waite. I am an Epson photography ambassador, and this is my truth. I think the word truth is important to me because I need to have parity between my human experience in a landscape and my emotional response when I look at the finished print and see within that image how it was that I felt when I was there making the photograph. And I think my landscape photography hopefully expresses a degree of serenity and calm, and if you like to use the word spiritual, then I hope it does that too. For me, it matters that the image I made was of something that truly existed. The moment the viewer feels unsettled or distrustful of the image, the relationship between viewer and photograph is completely broken. So I don't care really to manipulate my images and for the image to depart to a whole other place where the viewer has no belief in it. It's a very solitary thing, landscape photography. There's nobody next to you saying this is going to be a masterpiece. So you have to use your own sense of judgment, your own understanding of composition, your own understanding of light, of shape, of pattern, of color, of design. And ultimately, if you get them right, you own the moment, you own the experience, and you keep it for the rest of your life. There was a defining moment in the very early stages of my photographic career when we were looking for a house, and the owner of the house looked to me and he said, "What do you do?" And for some extraordinary reason, I told him a fib, and I said I was a landscape photographer. Actually, I was an out-of-work person in the theatre, and he smiled, and I'll never forget this smile. He said, "I'm the director of the illustrated books department at Weidenfeld and Nicholson Publishers, and I'd love to see your portfolio." Well, I didn't have a portfolio, but 4 days later, you bet I did. And I went to see him, and within a couple of hours, I was commissioned to do a book called the National Trust Book of Long Walks. And some 30 books later, I'm still here. One of the reasons I particularly love this photograph is its intimacy, and the intimacy that I had with it. On this particular day, I was feeling a little bit downhearted, and I perhaps gravitated towards something that was perhaps lonely in its nature. In a way, replicated perhaps how I felt. Perhaps that's why I love it, and perhaps that's why many people seem to like it as well, because it might replicate some aspect of the human condition. The reason printing the photograph is so important to me is because if you don't complete the circle, then how else is it going to endure? Where's it going to go? Is it going to linger on some external hard drive? We have to print, and we have to really print for the audience who enjoy our photography. It's the best way for them to engage in our craft and in our art and in our creative endeavor. For me, there's no other way. I think if I were to sum myself up as far as photography is concerned, I'm in a permanent state of wonder. My visual antennae are permanently up. So I feel really that photography is my only route to express that sense of wonder. And so I hope that what comes out of the photograph is a big part of me and who I am. And maybe when people see the photographs, they look into a bit of Charlie. In about 2005-06, I had an idea to start something called Landscape Photographer of the Year. And the reason I did was because I think everyone should be doing landscape photography. I think I get a lot of pleasure from seeing their results, and I feel they're sort of kindred spirits, if you like. So long live landscape photography. There's lots more to say. And I don't want to go so far as to say I'm evangelical, but I just know that if we plant ourselves in the middle of a very beautiful landscape, we are all the richer for it. And it's kind of that simple equation, really. And this is what I call the great reveal, Wind Green. And I love it. It's like a great big amphitheater. Usually the big landscape is very, very daunting. And you have to say to yourself, how do I get all of that into this? Essentially, I look for form. a little bit of pattern if it's there, and relationships, and a massive sense of dimension. All we need now is a little bit of the good old current bud, the sun, and I think we'll get it. I think really I'm an intermediate between what I've experienced and got great joy from and what the viewer of my photographs gets. So in a way, I almost can't take the credit because it's what we both explored, me in reality and the viewer looking at one of my images. More often than not, the grand finale of the print is the best way of measuring whether you achieved the image that you wanted to achieve. Let's go and see. I've been using Epson printers at least 20 years, which I hesitated to say, but it reminds me of how long I've been doing this. This one is the P9000, and I'm absolutely loving it. It seems as if it's designed for me to get my head around it and to be able to use it with ease. This full 44-inch, that is really exciting. The engagement with a large print is really very profound, let me tell you. Well, so far, I'm delighted, absolutely delighted. Ultimately, I want to see a print that reminds me emotionally, technically, exactly how I felt and what I did at the time. And I need my printer to do that, and the Epson P9000 does it. So I'm completely happy. Job done.